Let's begin. But I'll warn you right away, this video is uncomfortable. It's not soft. And it's definitely not what you want to hear. But it is what you need to hear. From childhood, you were taught to look outside of yourself. To search for someone to blame. To put a name and a face on your suffering. And yes, often that name is your mother. But here's the truth almost no one dares to tell you. It's not your mother who still holds you. It's what your mind has done with her. This is not criticism. This is not an attack. It's an uncomfortable truth that very few dare to speak out loud. Because your mother lives in your unconscious long after she leaves the room. You've tried to move forward. You've been searching for peace. But peace never comes when you're trapped in a war you don't even realize you're fighting. Do you know which war? The war against an image. Not flesh and blood, but shadow. An archetype that moved inside you before you even learned to speak. And the most frightening part? That shadow does not leave on its own. Carl Jung called it the mother complex. And no, it's not just another psychological label. It's an emotional prison with invisible bars. It's a voice that judges you without a word. It's an emptiness nothing can fill. It's the endless hunger for approval you've carried since childhood. And the cruelest part? It isn't even yours. It's an inheritance. An echo. A scar on the skin of your soul. You might ask, how do I heal something like that? And here begins the real work. Because as long as you see your mother as an all-powerful figure, whether for worship or for blame, you are not seeing your mother. You're seeing a myth. A projection. A distorted image, built out of unmet needs, unspoken wounds, and years of silence. And here's the hardest part. That myth controls your life far more than you're willing to admit. Every choice made in search of approval. Every relationship that crumbles because you're waiting for someone to save you. Every time you fail to set boundaries. All of it has roots deeper than you think. Roots born in childhood. In the gaze that never came. In the hug that never happened. In the words that were never spoken. And now, you're an adult. But inside, you're still that child, waiting for your mother to say, "It's going to be okay." Here is the cruel truth, that moment will never come. Because healing is not about making her change. Healing is about no longer waiting for her to change. And yes, that's devastating. You've been told forgiveness is the key. That understanding her is the path. That you must put yourself in her place. And yes, those things can help. But only if you first do the most important thing. Look inside. And admit that this wound is no longer anyone else's responsibility. It's yours. And only yours. No one is coming to heal it for you. So tell me. How many times have you caught yourself acting like her? How many times have you said or done what you swore you'd never repeat? That's the trap. Because the complex isn't just emotions. It's behavior. It lives in you. It directs you. And if you don't make it conscious, it turns you into its repetition. The pattern repeats. Over and over. Until someone finds the courage to break it. And breaking it hurts. Because it kills the illusion. The illusion that one day, what never was, will finally be. It means accepting that no magical repair is coming. That childhood won't return. That the comfort you never received, you will have to give it to yourself. So, are you ready? Are you ready to stop waiting to be loved the way you always needed? And start loving yourself the way you truly deserve? Because that is the doorway. There is no other. In Jung's language, mother is not only the woman who gave you life. She is an archetype. A symbol. She represents origin, safety, emotional nourishment. But she can also mean suffocation, dependency, and fear of being yourself. And when this archetype is not integrated, it becomes a shadow. A shadow you project onto everyone, your partners, your bosses, your friends. You keep waiting. Waiting for someone to save you. To understand you without words. To care for you without conditions. But that's not love. That's lack. And no other person can ever fill that lack. It can only be filled with truth, with awareness, with courage. The first step, stop idealizing her. She was not perfect. She was not a goddess. But she was not the demon you sometimes think she was either. She was a human being. Broken. Wounded. Fighting her own battles. She did what she could with what she had. And sometimes, that was very little. This doesn't excuse the damage. But it does explain it. And through that understanding, something begins to loosen. Not forced forgiveness, but freeing awareness. Because idealization is just as toxic as resentment. Both keep you trapped. Both keep you away from reality. And reality is this. You don't need your mother anymore. You need a stronger you. A more compassionate you. A more conscious you. And that version of you won't appear on its own. You must build it. Do you want to know how? Start observing your reactions. Every time you feel rejected, ask yourself, am I really seeing this person in front of me, or the old wound I never healed? Every time you demand unconditional love, ask, do I truly want love, or am I searching for repair? Every time you sacrifice yourself so someone won't leave, ask, who left me first? Healing is not pretty. It's not linear. It's a descent into your own underworld. It's uncomfortable conversations with your inner child. It's returning to buried memories, feeling them, reliving them, and then letting them go. And yes, sometimes that child cries. But sometimes, he screams. He sabotages. He rages. Because he's been waiting far too long to be heard. So listen. Really listen. Don't silence him with cliches. Don't cover him with cheap spirituality. Give him space. Ask what he needed. And give it to yourself. Self-compassion is not weakness. It's medicine. The only balm that works when nothing else does. And yes, it takes courage. Because part of you has been trained to despise yourself. To blame yourself. To punish yourself. Repeating the very sentence that was once placed upon you. Break that cycle. Reparent yourself emotionally. This is not just about reading books. It's about seeing yourself with new eyes. Creating new reactions. Ending the search for mothers in other people. Because let me be clear. The world will not give you what you never received. It's not built for that. The world will demand from you. Judge you. Ignore you. And in that chaos, you must build yourself. Emotional freedom begins when you stop repeating the pattern and choose differently. When you realize you are no longer 5 years old. You are not locked in that house. You are not dependent on affection. You don't need permission to be yourself. But yes, there is still a part of you that believes it. That still hopes. That still prays in silence. That part is not guilty. But it is your responsibility to heal it. Don't do it tomorrow. Don't wait until you feel ready. Do it now. Because if you wait until you're ready, you'll never begin. Healing doesn't come in silence. It comes in the noise, the chaos, the fear. And when it comes, it doesn't look the way you expected. It feels like loss. Like emptiness. Like silence. Because healing also means letting go of a part of yourself you've known too well. It's saying goodbye to the victim role. It's ending the waiting and beginning to act. It hurts, yes. But staying where you are hurts even more. So look at yourself. Truly look. And ask. What part of my suffering still belongs to that inner figure I call Mother? And how long will I keep letting her rule me? Make peace. Not with her, but with yourself. Because in the end, the most important mother is not the one who raised you. It's the one you choose to become for yourself. And she is still waiting to be born. Do you want to go deeper? To understand Jung's psychology and finally break free from the past? Join our Telegram channel for unique insights and inspiration. And now, let's dive even deeper. Because there is another layer. Hidden. But incredibly powerful. The invisible benefit. Yes, you heard me right. A hidden loyalty you never chose. But one that pulls the strings of your soul. No matter how much progress you make, how many books you read, how much therapy you do. If you don't understand this principle, you'll always find yourself back in the same place. Do you want to know the secret trap? Here it is. Your unconscious believes that by surpassing your mother, you are betraying her. That's how twisted this game is. And don't try to think about it logically. It isn't thought, it's felt. It's imprinted deep in your emotional system. Because you grew up learning that your identity was tied to hers. That what she lived through, what she suffered, what she believed, you also had to carry. Without realizing it, you signed a silent contract. A hidden promise that says, I won't be better than you, Mom. I won't be freer than you. I won't heal completely if you never did. Do you see the prison? And the scariest part? This prison feels like love. We're not talking about hate. We're not even talking about anger. We're talking about unconscious loyalty. A loyalty that ties you to her pain, her disappointments, her limits. That's why you keep repeating stories you don't even understand. That's why every time you're close to something greater, you sabotage yourself. Because deep down, a voice whispers, if I'm happy while you were unhappy, then I'm betraying you. But here's the cruel truth. Your pain doesn't honor her. Your stagnation doesn't save her. Your misery doesn't fix her. So why keep carrying what was never yours? This scene plays out in thousands of wounded souls. A child who refuses to live fully. Just so they don't wound their mother's feelings. Even if she's long gone. Even if she was never truly there. As if, deep down, you want to say, look, Mom. I'm suffering too. You're not alone in your sorrow. But that is killing you. The real betrayal is not leaving her story behind. The real betrayal is continuing to repeat it. Because if you truly love her, if you truly want to free yourself without sacrificing her, then you must understand this. To honor your mother is to surpass her. Not out of ego. Not out of rejection. But out of evolution. She gave you life. You are meant to multiply it, not shrink it. You must turn this inherited pain into something new. Awareness, transformation, authentic living. But for that, you must break the secret vow. The vow you gave before you even knew words. The vow that said, I won't be freer than you. Break that vow, not with anger, but with love. Say to her, even in silence, even if she's gone, even if she can't hear. Mom, thank you for what you could give me. But now, I choose a different path. And this path is not toward resentment. It's toward freedom. Because as long as you live in that hidden loyalty, life will remain repetition. You'll repeat her fears. Her disappointments. her way of loving, her inability to set boundaries, her hunger for approval, her guilt, her sacrifice, her pain. And you'll do it without even knowing. Have you realized how many of your life choices were shaped by this shadow? Maybe that's why you can't stand rejection. Maybe that's why you feel guilty when things go well. Maybe that's why you choose partners who make you feel small. Not because you're weak, but because you are loyal. But that loyalty is costing you your life. And if you dare to question it, if you dare to look it in the eyes, something begins to shift. There will be emptiness. A strange silence. Because for the first time, you are separating your identity from hers. For the first time, you can say, I am not you. And you are not me. To the child you once were, this feels like abandonment. But to the adult you can become, this feels like birth. This is where it all begins. And this is not about cutting ties in the outer world. It's about redefining them inside yourself. Because whether your mother was the most loving, the coldest, the absent, or the cruelest, what matters is not her. What matters is the place you gave her in your soul. And that place, if left disordered, turns into either an altar or a prison. You either idealize her, or you become enslaved by her. Both are distortions. The only way to heal is to dissolve the fantasy. And this fantasy takes many shapes: the self-sacrificing mother, the perfect mother, the victim mother, the all-powerful mother. But none of them are real. They're just constructs of your mind, myths that blur the truth. She, too, was once a daughter. She, too, carried her ghosts. She, too, was a victim of her time. She, too, loved the best she could. She, too, made mistakes. And you are not here to repeat her fate. You are here for something greater, to turn this emotional inheritance into wisdom. To make the unconscious conscious. To close the cycle so your children, if you have them or will have them, don't carry the same weight you carry now. Because this is what gets inherited. Not things, not even genes, but unresolved patterns, unprocessed emotions, silenced traumas, the heaviness of what was never spoken. And here's the most important part. You cannot change the past. But you can change how the past lives inside you. Do it not for her, but for yourself. You don't need to break ties with your mother. You need to break ties with the distorted archetype you carry within. You need to silence that inner voice that judges you every time you shine. You need to question the guilt that rises whenever you choose yourself. This liberation is not against her, it's for you. Because the original wound does not define your destiny. What defines it is what you do with it. So let me ask you, how much longer will you keep paying tribute to a pattern that does not serve you? How much longer will you keep holding a story you haven't even begun to live? It's time to turn inherited pain into fuel, to stop surviving, and start living. But for that, you need one thing: courage. The courage to release loyalty. The courage to rebuild yourself without the figure who either gave you everything or took everything away. The courage to look in the mirror and say, now, I take care of myself. And when you do, when you choose yourself, when you free yourself, then, and only then, will you truly honor her. Because the greatest tribute to the one who gave you life, is to live it. And just when you think you've let go, when you believe you've broken that inner loyalty, something else appears. Something more subtle, more elusive, more insidious: emotional self-abandonment. Yes, it's directly tied to that same mother archetype still hiding in your shadow. Because what does a child do when they don't get the emotional care they need? They adapt. They stay silent. They learn to take care of themselves, to suppress, to pretend it doesn't hurt. And that survival skill eventually becomes your way of life. Have you noticed how you treat yourself? How you talk to yourself inside? How you demand from yourself things you would never demand from someone you love. That's not by chance. It's the same pattern. It's you reenacting the abandonment you once lived, only now from within. And here's the cruelest part: today, no one is hurting you. You're the one who keeps hurting yourself in the name of an old program. Every time you deny yourself rest. Every time you minimize your pain. Every time you betray yourself so you don't disturb others. Every time you accept the unacceptable out of fear of not being loved. You're repeating the same script: if I neglect myself, maybe I'll be loved. Do you see what that means? It means you learn to survive by ceasing to exist emotionally. It's a slow, invisible, quiet form of self-destruction. You become your own authority figure, the one who won't let you cry, who demands you stay strong, who pushes you to perform, to give, to hold everyone else but yourself. And here's the most twisted part. The more you abandon yourself, the more you wait for someone else to come and save you. But no one will. Because no one can give you what you refuse to give yourself. This is the real revolution. To start caring for yourself in ways no one ever did. To become your own inner mother. Reparent yourself from scratch. Learn to give yourself the love you were once denied. Allow yourself to feel without judgment. Speak to yourself with kindness when you fall. Stop demanding perfection when all you need is comfort. Yes, at first it feels strange, because for years you've been trained with the whip, with criticism, with emotional coldness. But none of that is yours. It's a borrowed program. A system you inherited not because it works, but because it was all you knew. Want to break this cycle? Start with this question. How would I treat a child who just went through what I've gone through? What would I say if I saw them exhausted, worn out, on the edge of breaking? Would I push them harder, call them weak, or would I simply hold them, with no demands? Now realize. That child is you. Yes, even now. Even if you're 30, 40, 50. Even if life made you tough. Even if you feel like you're in control. That child is still there, waiting. And no one is coming. Not the way you imagine. Not in the form of a perfect savior. But in the form of you. Becoming the figure you always needed. And this is not cheap mysticism. This is deep psychology. Jung said, what remains unconscious shows up in your life as destiny. And here, it works mercilessly. If you don't recognize the way you abandon yourself, you will repeat it in every relationship, every job, every decision. You'll live from a place of lack, from emotional hunger, from the need to be saved. And here's the paradox: you stop needing to be saved the moment you become your own refuge. Of course it feels hard, because no one taught you how. You were taught to compete, to achieve, to prove yourself. But not to hold your inner world. And definitely not to embrace your shadows. And here's another forgotten part. The negative inner mother. That voice inside that isn't truly yours. The one that whispers you're not enough, you're too late, you haven't earned it, you must do more, you can't feel what you feel. That voice is not you. But you've mistaken it for your conscience. It's not. It's an inner figure, a distorted archetypal energy that has stolen the place of your confidence. And unless you break it, you'll keep living as if your worst enemy is yourself. But you are not the enemy. You're simply repeating what you were taught. So how do you break it? By listening. Yes, listening, because what you resist, persists. But what you observe, transforms. Next time that voice appears, don't run, don't silence it, don't cover it with empty affirmations. Look at it. Ask, where are you from? Who do you belong to? What are you repeating to me that was never mine? And you'll begin to see the threads. You'll see the origin. And in that moment, something inside you awakens. Not a mystical revelation. but a clear, grounded determination. You realize you've been living inside a story you never questioned. And when you begin to question it, you take your power back. This is the real psychological awakening. Not prayers. But the moment you stop being an echo of childhood, and start becoming the creator of your adult life. And don't confuse this with shallow positivity. This is not about ignoring pain. It's about responsibility. About looking at yourself without filters. About ending the search for someone else to fill your emptiness. And beginning to fill it yourself, step by conscious step. Here's your compass. Don't abandon yourself when you need you the most. When you're tired, don't push, rest. When you're sad, don't judge, stay close. When you're afraid, don't shame yourself, listen. This is a new language. A new inner mothering. A new emotional structure, breaking centuries of inherited patterns. And yes, it feels huge, overwhelming. But remember, you don't need to do it perfectly. You just need to do it differently. Because if you don't break the cycle, no one will do it for you. The change you're longing for isn't out there. It's hidden in every small inner gesture. Every time you choose to care for yourself, even when you don't feel like it. Every time you set a boundary, even when your voice shakes. Every no you say, just to be able to say yes to yourself. That is the real act of love. And believe it or not, it's an act of revolution. Because in a world that teaches us to demand, punish, and compare, choosing to treat yourself with kindness is rebellion. It's looking straight into your family history and saying, with me, the pattern ends. Not because you're better. Not because you're stronger. But because you've chosen to wake up. And once you wake up, nothing can put you back to sleep. Not judgment. Not guilt. Not that old voice that once paralyzed you. Because you no longer live for approval, you move from within. On a new path, rooted in awareness, boundaries, and real love. Not the kind that demands. Not the kind that sacrifices. But the kind that supports, respects, and truly cares. The kind of love you always deserved, and can finally give yourself. And when you reach this place, something in you has already shifted. You don't need confirmation. You feel it. It's that quiet vibration that comes when you finally face what you've avoided all your life. A strange mix of emptiness and strength, grief and rebirth. Because the end of this journey isn't applause. It isn't magical enlightenment. It's silence. A new silence. A pure silence. Because you dared to break the inherited noise. Now you understand why it was so hard to know who you truly are. Why it was so hard to be at peace with yourself. You were filled with foreign voices. Burdened with needs that were never yours. Reacting to pain that was born generations before you. But not anymore. Now it's yours. Your space. Your identity. Your voice. And here's the most powerful part. It's not about living without wounds. It's about living with them, consciously. Because wounds are not the problem. The problem is running from them. Pretending they're not there. But they don't disappear. They transform when you face them. When you speak about them. When you walk through them. And from this passage, something new is born, your true emotional maturity. Not the kind built on control or fake coldness. But the kind that accepts both your broken and your wise parts. The parts that still cry, and the parts that already know how to hold them. Do you know what that means? It means you've crossed the threshold. You've stepped into the point of no return. Where you're no longer the symbolic child of your past, but the symbolic mother or father of your present. You no longer live out of what was missing. You live out of what you choose to create. That's a power only few ever reach. Because it takes courage. radical honesty, and almost wild determination to release excuses, people-pleasing, inherited fears, and finally live from within, not from the echo of an old story. And now that you know this, what will you do with it? The video ends here, but the real journey begins, the invisible one. The one no one else will see, but you will feel every day. In every choice. In every new way you treat yourself. Every time you break the pattern. Every time you choose consciously, not from emptiness. And even if no one applauds, this is freedom. The kind of freedom you cannot buy. So I'll leave you with one last thought. Maybe the essence of everything we've shared, said in different words. A phrase to hold, to repeat, to carve into your soul. When self-love is born from healed pain, it stops being a trend, and becomes a quiet revolution. If you've made it this far, let me know in the comments. I am the end of this pattern. Because if you made it here, you're already not the same. You've seen what others are too afraid to face. Don't miss the next reflections on psychology and freedom.